Number one, do you have anything to say about multiple sclerosis? That's number one. Number two, do you have anything to say about dementia? Number three, do you have anything to say about vegans getting more fractures? Number four, do you have anything to say about cancer? Number five, do you have anything to say about eczema? Number six, do you have anything to say about gastrointestinal problems? Number seven, do you have anything to say about statin drugs? And number eight, do you have anything to say about the new popular vegan burgers that are made from pea protein or similar? Go ahead, try to keep it to just 1 minute so we can get this to end on time.
MS is an autoimmune disease that has shown responsiveness to eliminating animal sources of protein, particularly dairy protein, and going on a plant-based diet. So plant-based diets can really help with MS. See Dr. Stanchik's work. She had MS and really helped get her disease under control with a plant-based diet.
Dementia, again, we've got experts, the Shears Eyes, that have written some amazing books. There's no question that you can reduce your risk of dementia by eating a whole food plant-based diet. I think it's the best thing that you can do to reduce your risk.
Fractures, the whole study that came out recently about fractures is really important, and we need to actually be mindful of this. We need to make sure that, like we've said throughout the whole these last couple hours, make sure your vitamin D levels are normalized and optimal. Make sure that you are getting dietary sources of calcium. So that's almonds and tahini and sesame seeds and oranges and all those wonderful sources of calcium. Make sure you're getting your B12 because that's associated as well. Make sure you're getting resistance exercise where you're hitting your bones consistently, regularly, so that you get some of that wonderful, the good microscopic damage that we want so that we build back thicker, stronger. Make sure you're getting a nice wide variety of the legumes and nuts and seeds and all the foods that we've talked about to make sure you're.
I just want to add one thing real quickly about the fractures, that you had this isolated study that looked at a rather population of urban, quote unquote, vegans, and they found a very slight statistical increases fracture risk. When you look in the real world, you don't see it. You don't see real world vegans falling out and breaking their bones. I mean, I can tell you, I've been to Loma Linda a number of times. The people aren't laid out by speed bumps because they've broken their hips. And there's a lot of things in a plant-based diet that actually work against osteoporosis. But like Julieanna said, if you're looking at people who are eating a lot of vegan junk food, who aren't getting enough exercise and vitamin D and these other micronutrients, yeah, in those sort of specialized populations, you may find, a statistical increase in risk, but in general, I don't think that vegans are at higher risk for fractures.
No, and the one thing also to think about is one of the reasons I think that we sometimes do see in studies slightly higher risk of fractures is because vegans are leaner. And leaner people have less bone density, and so that could play a role as well. And we just need to remember that. As a matter of fact, the people in that study that had the greatest risk had BMIs, I think it was under 22.5 consistently. The people with BMIs of 22.5 plus didn't have any increased risk at all. And there are a lot of other studies that haven't found significant differences in fracture risk among vegans. One that just came out actually from Asia.
Yeah, I want to go on record as saying I think that study had an artifactual finding that is not really true. And that will be shown over the ensuing years as more work is done. Because as you said, there are already studies coming out that are refuting that finding. I don't think it's real.
Well,
just
the people in that study did have lower levels of vitamin D and B12 and lower intakes of calcium, way lower than what most vegans in North America have, because they have fewer fortified foods and so forth. So, well,
and that also suggests they weren't eating a very healthy vegan diet, because if you're eating a lot of green leafy vegetables, a lot of cruciferous vegetables, you're going to be getting a lot of calcium. So I'm like, what the heck were these people eating besides potato chips and soy delicious ice cream and diet soda that they weren't getting enough calcium? It's a vegan diet, but not a very good one. All right, since I did my lecture on cancer, let me just say, plant-based diets lower the risk for cancer. Plant-based diets have been shown to be able to cure cancer. Not saying that that is 100%, but nothing is. If it's like, if you are diagnosed with cancer, eliminate all sources of animal food from your diet. It will feed your cancer, period.
And eczema, well, I guess, I don't know a whole lot about this one, but I do know that for infants, definitely eliminating dairy makes a big, big difference. So for adults, eczema doesn't tend to be quite as much of an issue. It tends to be an issue more in early childhood. So I think that's one of the biggest factors. And of course, in a whole food plant-based diet, there is no dairy. So I think we see a lot less of it.
When you think eczema, think asthma, disordered immune function promoted by dairy proteins. Eliminate the dairy, the eczema usually clears up.
GI problems, there's so much evidence supporting the benefits of a whole food plant-based diet on gastrointestinal health, on actually reversing things like IBS and even inflammatory bowel diseases. It's absolutely, I've seen it so many times. So eating whole plant foods, best thing you can do for your GI tract. There is an adjustment period. Everyone has a little adjustment period when you're going from a low fiber diet to a high fiber diet. It is to be expected that your microbiome needs to adjust. But like you said, Milton, how did you say it? You said it the best. You're gonna get a, how'd you say it about your amazing microbiome?
Oh, yes. If you want a gangster microbiome, eat a healthy whole food plant-based diet. And let me just say a word about statins, which are drugs designed to lower your cholesterol level. Statins target an enzyme called HMA-CoA reductase. If you eat a lot of plant fiber, you create a short-chain fatty acid called propionate, which attacks the same enzyme and will lower your cholesterol level. The only time a vegan needs to take a statin is if they have an inborn error of lipid metabolism. Otherwise, you won't need it. With the caveats, as Brenda said, of making sure you're not getting too much saturated plant fat, which can also drive up your cholesterol.
And then as for the vegan burgers, they're definitely not health foods, but I celebrate them simply because if people don't eat the animal-based burgers and eat the plant-based burgers, animal suffering declines, we get environmental benefits, but also you're not eating the animal protein, a lot of the agrochemicals associated with it, the carnitine that gets converted to TMAO, not as many endotoxins, not as many environmental contaminants, all the POPs, no new 5-GC that you find in red meat, none of the nitrosamines, the saturated fat and cholesterol. Certainly saturated fat may be similar, but the cholesterol is not there. So there are a lot of actual advantages to the plant-based burger over the animal-based burger. And I think we need to recognize that, at every level.
Last quick point, Stanford recently did a head-to-head comparison of the plant-based burgers versus meat, and across the board, plant-based burgers help people get better blood lipid profiles, help them lose weight. They were healthier. There's no question that they're healthier. Again, not a whole plant food, be judicious, but they're better than dead flesh.
How do people get in touch with the three of you if they want to follow up with your website, your books, your programs? How does the best way to get in touch with each of you?
My website, Dr. Milton Mills, plantbasednation.com, kind of long, but it sort of sticks in your head. Dr. Milton Mills, plantbasednation.com.
And mine is Brenda Davis, rd.com.
Mine is plantbaseddietitian.com.
Okay, you could also go to our website and click on their names and you'll be taken to their website.